Hello and good evening, everyone. Happy holidays and welcome to this week's episode of Primetime Gaming. I'm your host, Mr. Boomstick XL. And man, oh man, do we have a huge show planned for you guys today. Lots of unbelievable topics and a ton of hashtag fun added in for good measure. So I'm not going to talk too much because I want to get into the topic. So let me introduce our two very special guests for today's show. You know him as being one of the most generous human beings I have personally ever met in my entire life. He is not only the creator of the outstanding Gaming Beyond the Box podcast. He is a horror movie junkie who appreciates the classics, someone who considers himself the gaming mouth of the South, and a huge fan of Rage Against the Machine, who has a reunion tour set for 2020. Please welcome Wilmy Hood.
Well, thank you, Mr. Boom, and I'm also the guy that has a really terrible cold, so I probably sound very Southern. I do apologize to all your audience members this evening.
Listen, Southern, it doesn't matter. We're all gamers at the end of the day. And I definitely appreciate you being here, even though you don't feel well. Listen, folks, he's here, and he's going to enjoy himself. And, of course, we're all going to have a lot of fun during the chat. Next, we have an old school gamer that has been fighting the good fight to stay with physical media, even when the man is trying to make it difficult and make him buy everything digital. His skills in Titanfall 2 are legendary. His choice of sexual innuendos are classic. And he's seriously one of the finest community members that I know. Please welcome Noof Nukem.
Boom, boom, kaboom. I'm super duper like a drunk stormtrooper. I'm ready to roll. Thank you so much for having me on Primetime with Boom. We got a great panel here, man. This is awesome. Always fun to hang out with you, Boom, and to be back on here with Wilmy and Clowns and everybody else, man. I'm pretty excited to get into the topics, and it's been kind of, like I said, it's been kind of sporadic since I've been doing podcasts. So I got some energies pent up, and I'm ready to get down.
Well, yeah, listen, hopefully later on we can have Arnold. I had a few people on Twitter ask if he was going to stop by. I said, listen, he has a busy schedule, so I'm going to email him and see if he gets back to me. So we'll come around to that a little later in the show. Next up, we have an Italian gamer who's one of the nicest and most skilled pirate legends on the seven seas. He's the creator of the outstanding Four Guys with Quarters. He's been gaming since the days of Pac-Man, a community leader who helps everyone that needs it for no reason other than it being the right thing to do, and a die-hard gamer who I consider a brother. Please welcome the Italian Clowns.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Thanks for having me, Boom. Always a pleasure being on your panel, and it's going to be a great show with Wilmy and Noof here. It's going to be awesome.
Well, it's great to have you here. I'm glad that you're feeling good and ready to rock and roll. And we are waiting on Gaming Forte, but we do have one other panel member that I'd like to introduce. We have a Monster Hunter legend who says it's an MMO life for him, a gamer who will save the universe from the clutches of the profound darkness when Phantasy Star Online 2 releases next year, an Apex Legend assassin on the level of Agent 47, and an Overwatch player who understands that there's no I in team. Please welcome Tempest Sun.
Boom, 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 Mr. Boomstick. Sorry, I kind of stole Noof's intro there, but what's up, man? It's good to be here. Looking forward to getting into these topics. We got a good host of gentlemen here, so let's get to it.
Well, listen, we're going to get right into it because there is a lot to talk about. In the first topic that we're going to talk about this evening, Microsoft reveals the advantage the next Xbox has over the PlayStation 5, and they will be looking to dominate the next generation as soon as it starts, this time next year. Now, as we close out 2019, there have been many things that Phil Spencer and company have done right in the last 18 months. With that said, the path to the next generation seems clear as we approach 2020 and beyond. Now, console power, first-party support, and the outstanding services like Xbox Live Xbox Game Pass, and the game-changing Project X Cloud will be leading the charge without a doubt. What will be available at launch for the Xbox Scarlett will determine exactly how fast the new Xbox can hit the ground running. Now, Matt Booty, in a recent interview, confirmed that the 15 first-party studios now actively working on various projects. Microsoft is aiming to have new first-party games released every 3 to 4 months starting next year. It's clearly a change of pace, as the Xbox, as we all know, has struggled to maintain a consistent first-party release schedule in this particular generation, like its rivals, both Sony and Nintendo. Now, this will all become evident with the release, with the recent studio acquisitions, and an effort to learn from its mishaps that plagued the Xbox One through this entire generation. Okay, so let's get on to the panel here. Now, I'm going to go with Wilmy Hood. Now, you obviously are someone that plays PC. You play the Switch. You play PlayStation, of course, and you have an Xbox. Oh, and obviously, like myself, we support multiple consoles. And our stake is, as we're just gamers. We enjoy gaming no matter where it is. But everyone has a preference. But in your opinion, if Microsoft wants to take an early lead, or if they want to follow suit to what Sony did in 2013 and hit that ground running like the Flash and never look back, what do you think they actually need to do moving into the next generation?
They need to stand behind some of the stuff they've been claiming. They really need to release something. And I know it's not going to be popular. I wasn't really thrilled with XO19. I mean, some of the games looked really good, but I mean, they need something better. And I mean, they really need to step it up. They can't be behind out the gate like they were last time. If they are, it's just going to be over for them as far as, trying to catch up to Sony or even Nintendo for that matter. But they just need to really, do what they're saying, and they need to release new games, new IPs, do something different.
I mean, listen, we'll say this. Microsoft has radically reshaped its first-party investments at the tail end of course, the Xbox One. And to say that actually falls in suit to exactly what you're saying, because from what we know, Wilmy, these 15 studios are, most of which are working on multiple projects. And I like to believe that they really are keeping things close, meaning that they don't want to let anything slip. I know that, like, for instance, like for me, there are some people that are against having a Banjo-Kazooie be revised. And I'm in the camp where I think that the platform needs it. At the same time, I agree with you. They need the big bangers, like the kids are saying, right? They need the God of War type titles, the realistic graphics. We're going to get that. We're going to get that in Fable. I mean, obviously, last week on the Xbox Factor podcast, we talked about the released artwork that apparently looked very Fable 4-ish, if you will, that Playground Games is officially or unofficially working on. Do you think that for you, as a gamer that loves gaming as a whole, do you think that they need to bring more mature type stories and graphics to their next generation console?
Definitely. And, the one thing too, and Sony gets a lot of praise for it, and I'll tell anybody, like you said, I play everything. I don't care what platform it is. I'm sitting here playing Legend of Zelda right now on the Switch. The thing is, man, even Sony games, I don't know, most of them, they all seem the same to me. I mean, The Last of Us, they all kind of blend together. They all have that same vibe to them.
Yes.
I mean, and I know some people's going to get pissed off, but it doesn't matter. But they really, really do. They all feel the same to me after I played them for a while. I played every exclusive that's been released on the PS4. The only one, sadly, that was really different was Concrete Genie. In my
Yeah, that
opinion.
was definitely a different, and more artsy take on it. I thought I didn't play the game yet. I'm gonna pick it up probably towards the end of the year. It looks like a lot of fun.
It's definitely different, but I mean, it's it's most of their games just seem the same. I want to see Microsoft come out with something that just blows everybody away. That's what I want to see. I want to see the graphics, the gameplay, and hopefully the day it releases, you can actually play it. Because a lot of games this gen have been unplayable at launch.
Yeah, it's a great point. That's a great point. Yeah, the way I guess is a 50 gigabyte day one patch, and a good portion. You take something like, for instance, Anthem. Anthem is very broken.
Still broken.
Ghost Recon Breakpoint. Even though I put like 40, 50 hours into it, at launch. Not some broken parts to it where things didn't load in or you couldn't find your weapons, whatever. So yeah, I agree. I'd love to see a new game release and it just actually work like the old NES days. You bought it, you went to Toys R Us, bought a new cartridge, you popped it in, and it worked. That's what I would like to see.
And sadly, Death Stranding, and I've even joked about it on other podcasts. Death Stranding gets a lot of hate, and some people really love it. I'm kind of on the fence with it. I've got about 25 hours into it. But at least it did work day one.
Well, that's a great point. That is a great point. No. I mean, if there were updates, they're probably behind the scenes, but at least the game worked when you put it in, you played it, and you got your 25 hours in. I mean, it's going to be interesting to see, where they go for the next generation. I am in the camp where I think that, we're seeing smaller titles. We're seeing titles, that some people find to be cartoony type graphics. I think that's what they want to show now. I honestly believe that the big winners, or the pride of the litter, we're going to see at E3. And I know that
agree.
I know that this is wait for E3. We've been saying this shit for years, and it gets a bit frustrating as an Xbox fan. But we've had some really good games. You take Forza, take Gears. We have Halo Reach, which is launching tomorrow. I know it's an old game with 60 FPS, 4K visuals. A lot of people didn't play, but we're actually going to talk about that a little bit later. But there's a lot going on at Microsoft, and I think that we have to be patient. I know people don't want to be, and I can understand if you're not, but post E3 2018, folks, Phil Spencer's been making the moves. And, listen, if you don't want to wait, sell your Xbox. If you want to just play on the PlayStation till something for the Xbox, because that's what I do. See, the way I play games is very simply is all my games, all third-party games are on the Xbox One X. Right? That's where I enjoy my achievements. That's where I enjoy my friends list. I love everything about it. And when something big comes out for the PlayStation, well, then the Xbox gets put into the corner. And I play the hell out of that first party, over the shoulder, adult themed game that I like. It's a single player masterpiece. I like those games. I know some people like Wilmy was saying, they all kind of look a little bit alike. I do. I agree with you. Even Death Stranding has that. It has that Sony look. But I'm going to be honest with you. I really dig it. I dig it because I'm an older gamer. And even though playing online with friends is fun, at the same time, I like that selfish experience where it's just me, my headphones, the TV, and the story, and the character that I give a shit about. And I don't know. I mean, listen, all I can say, Wilmy, is you had some great points, and I do agree with you that they need to bring the big guns to really make a dent come next generation. But I want to move on to Noof Nukem. Noof, listen, you're a gentleman like myself and like Wilmy. You support multiple consoles, but we know that you like resting your head on the Xbox pillow. Nothing wrong with that. For you as a gamer that has been supporting the Xbox brand since the OG days, and you're seeing the wide range of studios that they've purchased, what, in your opinion, does Phil Spencer and Redmond need to do to make sure that 2020 is not a repeat of 2013?
I wish I had a great answer for you on this one, but to be honest with you, I don't know. And to be honest as well, I don't even think Phil and them know anymore exactly what the recipe is for guaranteed success. Because if you look at Nintendo out there, they're just taking things to the bank. And they got the least powerful console. They've got great games, but again, their lineup is not near as strong right through, especially from a third-party perspective, as what you got on PlayStation and Xbox. It's a lot more indies, a lot more family-friendly games, and maybe that in itself is why Nintendo is very successful. So with Xbox, look, I mean, they came out with the X, should have been a surefire hit, and to some degree it was. Right out of the gate, it was a pretty hot commodity, but the X seems to have simmered instead of sizzled all the way through, and I don't know why that is. I don't know if it's because of Microsoft's mixed messaging and being all over the board. I feel they are heading in the right direction. The question is it a little too late? Can they turn this ship around? There's a bad stigma following Microsoft and Xbox products right now for 100 different reasons. Sure, they're doing things right with Game Pass, and they pretty much forced it down our throats. Whether you like it or not, I see it everywhere. Great on them for that. They're definitely leaning on the services, but that in itself is one reason why their console sales have stagnated. We know price is going to be paramount for the next gen. We know power is certainly important, but I don't think power is the be all end all. It's great if it's there, but I really don't see either way, whether it's PS5 or Xbox One. I don't see either one being like a really drastic difference. Like, I don't know, maybe a few frames or something, or just I don't even know how that's going to shape up. So it's going to come down to obviously price. That is going to be paramount. I think both companies are going to have a very powerful system. I don't think anyone's going to go wrong, but I really don't know what the secret of success is for Microsoft, other than, I guess, the only thing that's left in the tank is that, one, they have to bring back some franchises that people have said they openly want. Whether there's other people in the community that says, no, new IPs. Well, guys, we know how freaking risky new IPs are. And you know what? We saw that Spyro and Crash and some of these games have come back and done very, very well. So what's wrong with the back catalog of stuff that Microsoft's sitting on? I'd say it's a safer bet to go with the back catalog of games that at least had success than try something completely new out of the box. Does it mean don't make new IPs? Absolutely not. But they do have 15 freaking studios. I think at least a couple of them can work on some new IPs, and some can dedicate to bringing back franchises we know and love. The launch is critical for Xbox. They have to get it right. It has to be done right from a price, tech, the whole 9 yards. Marketing's got to be up there. They've got to get this launch right. Everything rides on the start of this Xbox, and we already know, like I said, that stigma is going to carry over. They've been trying to turn the ship around, but is it a little too late? Can they win back a lot of fans? Can they keep fans on board that are already here? Oh man, like I could go on all night. I'm super concerned about Microsoft. Some people say they're not, but I don't know. I'm just concerned that, like I said, the direction has shunned off a lot of people, brought some other people into the fold. I don't want to ramble too long, but
listen, this is a conversational podcast, dude. You talk away.
Their launch is, like I said, I'm going to say it again, their launch is critical. And the biggest thing is, like, they had a pretty good launch with the Xbox One outside of the whole, DRM fiasco, right?
And
but they had a good launch lineup.
And
compared to Sony's lineup at launch.
Yes, it was really it was an excellent launch. Yes,
it was a complete reversal of the gen, because Xbox and Sony kind of started at the 8. It was fairly neck and neck for a while too, like in terms of console sales, until Microsoft's messaging and things shifted. And then Sony really pulled away, and they pulled away on the strength again of their first party titles and stuff. Microsoft had a great launch, but we all know that's the problem with launches. You can have all these great titles, but then not enough people own the consoles, which in itself is actually a plus, because I guess whatever they release for the Xbox Scarlett is still going to be compatible with Xbox One, the Xbox One X. So, you're not leaving, millions of gamers out in the cold, which means success out of the gate on any game that they make is the chances are a lot higher now, as opposed to just starting fresh. You know what I mean? And having to wait till the install base is there. But yeah, they got to get a lot of things right. They got to have an amazing launch lineup. Halo has to deliver. Yes. Halo has got to put the naysayers.
We're gonna actually that's good. That's gonna come towards the back end of the show. I have a lot to say about what Halo needs to do, and I think everybody in this panel is going to agree with me on this.
I'll leave it there, though. I'll leave it there. The 15 studios, they're in great shape, as long as some of these guys, like I said, put out some really good quality stuff.
No, I mean that's a really great point. And let me go over to Tempest's son. Tempest, we were talking pregame, and we both of us talked about Killer Instinct. Right now, I'm a firm believer, and maybe it's because I'm a fanboy, maybe because it's the fandom in me is trying to will this into reality. But I jumped when Killer Instinct was announced as coming to the Xbox One. I remember where I was. I was at work. I was still working at the time, and I had taken lunch to watch their coverage.
Right.
And I literally jumped out of my seat because Killer Instinct by far is one of my most beloved fighting games in the history of fighting games.
Yeah.
And you know, we were talking, and Noof brings up some great points about, you know, going back to your back catalog. If you look at what made Xbox, the OG Xbox, great, it was games like Mech Assault, games like Crimson Skies. You know, Perfect Dark is a perfect, in my opinion, title that could use a re-envision in, you know, for 2020 and be something special. They have so many incredible Conquer would be a cutesy game with a squirrel that curses. You know what I'm saying? Like, that could be for the adult crowd, but still give you that, you know, that platforming. There's so many things that they can do. Would you like to see them do this, or are you in the camp that you want to see new IPs for the next generation Xbox?
To be honest with you, if they were to revive some of these old games, they would feel like new IPs, just straight up. I mean, you could also reboot them in certain ways too. I've been asking for a Perfect Dark reboot for a while now. I think it's due.
Yes, I agree.
I think the Perfect Dark was it 0? I think.
Yes, I mean, I listen. It was a launch title for the 360. Didn't expect it. Like, for instance, Cameo.
Yeah,
I guarantee you there were at least, we have 120 people watching, dude, and I can bet you there were 60 people that are like, who? Cameo? What the hell is that?
That game was great.
It's fantastic.
Yeah, that game was phenomenal. Yeah, they have such a deep well that they can pull from as far as IP goes. As far as success, I think the landscape is so incredibly different than what it was in 2013 in a way. I mean, yeah, 360 kind of won the generation, you know, but they screwed up so hard. I mean, I don't see what Phil could possibly do a few months before launch to make people absolutely hate what they're doing. Game Pass is phenomenal. Every bit of news we get about xCloud is encouraging. I mean, right now, people are unanimously saying xCloud just killed Stadia, and it's in beta. Stadia launched, you know, and xCloud is winning. So the fact that they're putting xCloud like bundled into Game Pass, I mean, you could go on and on and on, but just Game Pass alone, I think, is enough to make people really think coming in the next generation. If you think of all the problems that came at the launch of the Xbox One, games was actually not an issue with Xbox at the start, but those were games that were put into motion under Don Matrick and stuff like that, or Donnie D, and
good old Donnie D.
Good old Donnie D, yeah. But we had a dry spell because Phil had to take over, and it was a sinking ship. He had to patch that puppy up. I mean, honestly, if you think about every problem they've had, he's like, if he had a checkbox for every one, he's checked them all off. I mean, we don't have the games yet, but I think now they currently have more studios than any other publisher under their belt. So they're fixing that issue. I really do honestly think some of the more mature themed games are coming. There's just not going to be a ton of them. This isn't going to be a case where almost every single game you're pulling intestines out of somebody, like a lot of Sony's games. It's just not going to be that. One thing Xbox is different is they have diversity. They're going to have real-time strategy games, racing games, RPGs,
first-person shooters, third-person shooters. Yeah, they're gonna have something for everyone. Yes,
platformers, you name it, they're gonna have it. And then they have some games that rest in the between that really don't even have a genre. Like, I don't think Sea of Thieves has a genre. Sea of Thieves is just its own thing, and they've been supporting it for close to 2 years now, or it's getting there. But
I think March makes it officially 2 years, and they have something planned. They have a 2-year anniversary big to do coming, so I'm excited for that.
Maybe they're adding a body to the Kraken. That would actually be exciting.
That would be cool.
That sounds silly, but that'd actually be really exciting. But yeah, no. Honestly, I don't really see. I'll put it to you this way: I don't think they can really fumble as hard as they did in 2013. I don't see how they can. They might not. They might come out of the gate and just not win right out of the gate, but they're not going to destroy themselves. Like Phil sits at the big boy table now.
Right. He's making all the calls. That's correct.
Yeah, he's making the calls. He probably has close to an unlimited, amount of money that he can push their way as long as they're seeing a return, which they are. They are making more money than they ever have before, and that's before the software. Just imagine when all of these studios are pumping out games left and right. People are addicted to being on Game Pass because it's a phenomenal service. Like I've said it before, it's a freight train and nothing's going to stop it. I don't think so.
Well, that's actually a great point. Well, listen, clowns, before I get to you, I have to thank one of my panel members who drops an outstanding and outrageous $50 super chat in the form of Wilmy Hood. Wilmy, thank you so much, dude. That is extremely kind of you. He says, hit that like button. That is greatly appreciated. Wow, you have me speechless, dude. That is very kind of you. And thank you so much again, man. And of course, he's here sick and he still dropped an absolute ridiculously super chat. So thank you again. Clowns, let me ask you something, because you and I, we talk privately on a regular basis, right? Regarding lots of things, life, gaming, of course. And you like what Phil's bringing to the table. You like the good guy mantra. A lot of people don't like it. I like the good guy mantra because guess what? I enjoy being just like Phil, being happy, enjoying gaming, trying to help others. I mean, that's what it's all about at the end of the day. But let me ask you this: from one professional podcaster to another, do you feel that Phil Spencer has put the Xbox brand on his back and is now carrying it down the right path?
Yeah, I think he is going down the right path. I think he's been headed down this path for a while now. To be honest with you, when we saw the change of leadership at Microsoft and Satya took over everything, he wanted inclusive people, and Phil had to save the Xbox brand. He did just that. Phil became the nice guy, public image, became inclusive, reached out to the fans, started doing fantastic things for a lot of people. And look at the Fan Fest blowing up. I mean, he's just doing so many good things PR-wise that Xbox needed to get their name out there. And he is saving the brand. I think there's a large future for Xbox, and I think their focus is going to be just on inclusive consumerism.
Well, I mean, that's actually a great point. And I do have one other question for you. I mean, this is kind of in the same line what we're talking about. With everything that you just said, with everything I just said, with everything this incredible panel has just said, in your professional opinion, and you've been doing podcasting for a long time, can Phil Spencer give both Sony and Nintendo a run for their money when next generation launches next year?
I think so, because Phil's not the type of guy to come out and say and boast and say, look what we got, guys. He's not going to do that. He's just going to come out silently and do it. Some of the best things are left unsaid and just shown. And I think Phil is the guy, he's not the guy to do the talk, but he's the guy to do the walk. And that's what's going to happen next gen with Xbox.
So basically what you're saying is that Phil Spencer is the type of dude that walks silently and carries a very big stick.
Absolutely.
I love it. I love it.
I just wanted to say too, that's quick, Clowns just reminded me how amazing the accessibility controller is. That's just like he said goodwill with the community. I mean, even though that controller doesn't apply to me, I almost get choked up every time I even see anything about it, because it's pretty ridiculously cool what they did. I think they're going to be known to be the pro-consumer company, to be honest with you. That's the path they're going down. You can't think of Microsoft right now without thinking, oh, that's a good deal, and it's for everybody. So.
No, that's a great point. And how I know that it does make a difference in people's lives is last year, my wife, who's amazing, who has been supportive on this journey since my first terrible, horrible video that I put up, wanted to do something special for J Dubs, also known as the Graphic God. And we knew that, if you don't know this about Jay, he plays games with one hand. He has two hands, but one hand doesn't work as well as the other. And a lot of people don't know that about him. And I got news for you. He will kick your ass in Mortal Kombat with one hand. Nice. So what Josie and I had thought about doing is getting him, because he just didn't have the money. You got to take care of the families first, right? So you come last. That's the way, at least that's the way it is in my household. I believe everybody on this panel believes the same thing. Your family's got to come before you. And he didn't have the money, so we bought him the controller and sent it to Canada. And listen, me and Jay, we're more than just friends. We're brothers, and he has helped me on my path on this journey more than anyone would ever know. And it was something that we wanted to do. And he'll tell you that controller is second to none. It is probably it doesn't get enough credit. I'm glad that you brought it up. No one gives that Microsoft enough credit for being the first company to say, listen, we want everyone included, no matter whether you have, all your limbs or you're missing two. They want to make sure that you can game, and that's a great point, dude.
Yeah, it's not just for show either. If you play any of the newer games from Xbox Game Studios, the accessibility options on every game that comes out is through the roof. Like, they've thought of everything, dude. From colorblind, from people with hearing issues, you name it, and there's something for everybody. So it's like, it feels like they're good people. That's what it feels like.
Absolutely. No, it's a great point. Listen, they're going to do something special. I have a really, I get that feeling in my gut that they're really going to blow our socks off with games, with the power of the console. It's going to be really super exciting to see what they do in the next generation, and I cannot wait to do it. But let's move on to the next topic. Now, this one, not many people are talking about, and I thought would be pretty interesting to talk about because we have a lot of people that play multiplayer on this panel. Now, in a story that I pulled from Game Informer, which is I still love it. I mean, if you're looking for print magazines that give you the feeling of an old school EGM or an old school Gamers Republic, or Next Gen magazine. They still write like that. Now, I don't agree with all of their editors, but for the most part, I enjoy reading most of the articles from Game Informer. So this particular article is talking about how Crossfire X is shaping up to be a huge surprise for all Xbox fans looking for that Counter-Strike Go type experience. And I think they just might have found something special that's been very popular in the Asian market for years. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. I had no idea Crossfire X existed. I didn't even know what it was because I don't really play on multiplayer like that. If I'm going to play multiplayer, it's probably going to be Call of Duty or something like that. But Crossfire X is set to kick off the series' newfound push for global popularity with a new engine, fan favorite maps, and an all new campaign being built from the ground up from the Control and Alan Wake developer Remedy Entertainment. And I believe, from what I understand, that's exclusive to Microsoft because Microsoft is publishing this game. Now, and I know that the game is supposed to eventually come to the PlayStation 4 platform, but I don't know if that actual single player campaign is going to be something that goes in tow. Now, in both the multiplayer and new single-player campaign, the game was built from the ground up using an extremely advanced Unreal Engine 4. Little things that will undoubtedly make a huge difference when the title was released next year in 2020 is aiming down sights that actually has been added that wasn't in the original game, as well as update to the graphics that would rival some of today's most intense games. Now, the gameplay reveal trailer focused on one of the original Crossfire maps, and it's the most popular map called Black Widow. While the map is carried forward, it's more than just a remastered version of it. Smilegate technical art director Jin Woo Jung had this to say: "It's a very popular fan favorite map in China. Our team has put a lot of love to rebuild the things which weren't possible in our very old engine. Using the Unreal Engine gives us more opportunities to meet these expectations of the players and what they want to see visually." Now I have to go to Tempest Sun immediately, because not only are you like the killer of all when it comes to online multiplayer. Did you know about Crossfire? And if you did, are you happy to know that not only is it coming to the Xbox, but it's coming in tow with new graphics, a new engine, and basically it's more than just a fresh coat of paint?
Yeah, listen, I think this game's going to shock a lot of people in more ways than one. This game, I knew about it. I never played it because we have Counter-Strike over here, and that's essentially what Crossfire is, but over in Korea. Crossfire is legitimately a bigger game than Counter-Strike, which sounds hard to believe, but it actually is, as far in terms of just raw amount of people playing it. So the fact that they wanted to bring it over here, but they just didn't do a simple port, because the game looks ancient if you see the original version.
Yeah, it's the old, it's bad. It's bad.
Yeah, it's old. It's like Counter-Strike before all the patches old. So I mean, yeah, but it's a complete remake, and I think when they made that game, it got so popular because, a lot like Counter-Strike, it is gameplay first, everything else second. Everything else. And you can just tell by the trailer the way that it moves and shoots. I'm pretty sure when you aim down sights, it might change the aiming a little bit, but I guarantee it's going to be one of those games where guns have like a really, really tight hip fire spread when you shoot from the hip. It's going to be fast paced. If it just comes out and the game works, it has really good net code. It's got a solid frame rate, good shooting mechanics, decent to good graphics, which it looks like it has. I think it's going to take off, to be completely honest with you. It's a kind of shooter that we don't have on console. I mean, we have Battlefield, which is its own beast. You got Call of Duty, which is bad to interesting as far as multiplayer goes. And then you have stuff like, like Halo. It's gonna fit in a very nice little spot all by itself. And I'm extremely excited for it. Remedy's doing the single player, so that's really cool. I mean, I'm interested to see what Remedy's going to do with that kind of story, because their stories are always off the wall. Right. I think the most normal story they've given us is Max Payne, and even that has like tripped out acid scenes in it. So it does, So I'm interested to see what they do with a military story. I'm genuinely curious. So now, and they're making it for console too.
Yes,
I don't think it's hitting PC, at least not yet. So this is a game made for the Xbox. I'm pretty sure it's going to come on the PlayStation eventually. I don't know when, but you're going to get a very tailored experience. So I'm thinking it's going to surprise a lot of people. I really do. So.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. And speaking of the single player campaign, Nuve, I want to get to your opinion on this. Regarding the new single player campaign, Remedy can't reveal anything about it. But just yet, actually. But developing a first-person shooter is an exciting prospect. And Remedy Communications Director Thomas Puha had this to say: "We have a lot of FPS fans on the team, and just like this kind of fun challenge, we keep asking ourselves, could we create a Remedy experience in a first-person shooter? Being a huge fan of Remedy, and that's of course me, I honestly can't imagine exactly what they're going to do, because like Tempest Sun was just saying, their stories are off the wall but interesting. I mean, listen, whether you liked Alan Wake, whether you liked Quantum Break, those stories were super deep. If you took the time to actually read some of the things, the stories were super deep, and I loved every one of them. Now, Control, obviously, at the Game Awards, it's got 8 nominations. I'm waiting for a sale. I didn't want to pay full boat for it. I'm sorry, Remedy. I just didn't. And it just wasn't in the wheelhouse at the time. So I'm going to pick it up, hopefully at the end of the year sale that Xbox has. But to think that they're going to take, because what's different about Remedy is they tell stories from a weird angle. And some people love it, some people hate it. And listen, if you love it, great. If you hate it, I understand. But to just imagine, Noof, the Remedy storytelling with a military shooter, it could get crazy, but it sounds interesting. Are you interested to see where they take Crossfire X?
Totally. I'm not expecting anything crazy, though, from Remedy in terms of what they do with this shooter. I mean, I could be wrong here, but I think it'll be more straight-laced by the book. I mean, this game is, technically sort of set in realism to some degree. I mean, a lot of the shooters are not realistic from a true military standpoint, but it's based in reality. It's based in the here and now sort of thing. So I'm not expecting weird aliens or funky portholes or anything like that. You know what I mean? So, but the fact that they are passionate about it, that they do have a very talented team over there at Remedy, that's half the battle with gaming. It's having the talent, but the passion to drive a project to new levels. And I'm sure they'll have things in their campaign that may blow minds for sure. Definitely interested to see their take on it. I hadn't heard of this game either, Boom, up until we saw it unveiled a few months back. And I'm pretty excited about it. It looks like a really good shooter. But shooters are a dime a dozen. And, I guess this one, I think it's probably going to come to Game Pass or whatever. And that's probably a good thing for that. That's probably be a huge ace in the hole for this game, because finding an audience right now in a very crowded space is unbelievable. We even saw the mighty Call of Duty, switch gears with Black Ops 4 to come out with their own Battle Royale mode, because they were kind of getting their ass handed to them for a while. With games like Fortnite and PUBG and different things. I mean, Call of Duty's always had an audience, don't get me wrong, but they saw a big drop in their usership and their streamers and different things. And that's part of it too. You got to keep your streamers happy, because they're in turn bringing people over to your game. So, the fact that it has a big following, it looks incredible. The graphics itself, it was one of my top games of the show. What was it? Gamescom it was showing off, or what was it? Or was it XO? I can't remember. It was XO. I think it was Gamescom, right?
Last year we got actually, no, it was this year. Yeah, it was this year. We got a CGI trailer, and everybody was like, "What the heck is that?" Because they didn't show gameplay, so I can understand. But it was XO that they gave us. Was it XO?
Yeah, I believe so. Where they actually showed that was actually gameplay.
The gameplay, yeah. And like I said, it looked good. I mean, I love shooters. I'm always down for the next big thing. I think Battlefield is to the point where it has to reinvent itself. Call of Duty obviously went back to the well of the Modern Warfare, which was arguably one of its biggest franchises. I think Infinity War looks like they're back on top. I really love the new Modern Warfare. I have very little issues with the game. I think it's solid. Some people may disagree with me, but it's the best Call of Duty I've played in years, especially for a campaign. And like I said, I'm excited the fact they are at least going to put a campaign in there for single player fans, because it's a crime to publish a game without it. I mean, I think you're missing out on a large audience. And by just bringing people in from a single player standpoint, a lot of those people at some point do go over and try the multiplayer. Some might think it's terrible, but some will be hooked. And every time you have a chance to grab another potential customer, you're doing good things. So, I mean, the fact, like I said, you got some big names behind it, and Remedy is there. It definitely has me excited for sure. And I can't wait for this game to drop. It's going to be awesome.
Yeah, 2020 is shaping up to be a great year for gaming as a whole. But from what we understand, there's at least a dozen titles coming to the Xbox, and that's exciting. Wilmy, I want to get your opinion on something. Did you get a chance to take a look at the Crossfire X trailer?
Yes, I did.
Okay, so what were your thoughts on it? Because I'm going to tell you this right now. It certainly impressed me, and this is coming from someone who thought he knew everything about gaming. Apparently, I don't, because I never heard of it, and this is one of the biggest shooters in the Asian region, coming exclusively to the Xbox for now. What are your thoughts on it, dude?
I'm on it day one. I'm looking forward to it. I want a different type of shooter. I'm over Battlefield. I agree with Noof. Battlefield needs to go away for a couple of years. They need to rethink their strategy. Modern Warfare is great, but I just want something different as far as a shooter. And Crossfire X seems like it's going to be the game.
Yeah, it looks really interesting. It looks like it's going to be a lot of fun. I don't know what the count is, how many people are actually going to be playing. What group versus what group, and how many people. But I can tell you right now that running from what we saw running on the Unreal Engine 4, it looked ultra modern. And like I said, we don't have. I mean, people still play Counter-Strike if you're a PC guy or gal.
I still play it every once
there
in a
you
while.
go. And 10%, I think you still play it as well every now and again.
Yeah,
So,
no, it just keeps going. Games like that. Like I said, if you get the gameplay down and the maps are so important. And there's some maps that people have been playing for literally a decade on Crossfire. I'm not Crossfire. Well, yeah, Crossfire too, but on Counter-Strike. So yeah,
they know every nook and cranny, every corner, every window.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, I mean, listen, I think that we're going to all be surprised, and it's just one of those. It's one of those things when you talk about, people say, well, what exactly is Phil Spencer doing? When he's going over to, when he's flying out to Asia and he's handshaking these deals. I mean, listen, we're getting Fantasy Star Online 2 on the Xbox. Would you have ever in the history of your life think that? No. And you're getting Crossfire. There's a lot of stuff that he's doing. And I like that he's looking to do something outside of the States, outside of the EU. You know what I'm saying? And people have been asking for it as well. Clowns, I want to get your opinion, your final opinion on Crossfire X. Now, obviously, there is no doubt that it's going to challenge the likes of PUBG, Call of Duty Online, and Battlefield 5 crowds. There's no doubt about it. And being that this is it's being crafted with the Xbox One in mind from the ground up using the Unreal Engine 4, we're getting a single-player campaign that's never, ever before been done. It's new to the series. It's being done by Remedy. We know their history, whether you love them or hate them. They know how to tell a good story. Are you excited to see what Crossfire can do for the shooter genre when it releases early in 2020?
I haven't really thought about this one, to be honest, that much. I saw the trailer. I think the trailer looks fantastic. I think they did a great job with it. But I'm not familiar with the Crossfire franchise at all in general. And I'm not a huge Remedy fan. So it's never really crossed my peak of interest. But I do think that if the game upholds to those type of graphics, even in game, and not just CGI, I think it has some competition there for especially Battlefield, Battlefront as well, and maybe some of the Call of Duty market. I don't think it would take a lot away from Call of Duty. I think Call of Duty has such a mass market appeal right now, and it's going to stay that way for years to come. But I do think that it could definitely affect Battlefield.
Well, I mean, listen, again, it's one of those instances. I don't think someone's just going to pick up and leave Call of Duty. Oh, my God, Crossfire X, F you, Call of Duty. I don't think that happens in real life. I think people move from game to game. They enjoy it. They play it. And I mean, like, for instance, Gunplay FPS, who's always here in the chat, says that there is currently 273,350 people playing CSGO right now. That's insane when you think about it. So I have a good feeling that this could really be something special. Again, it's one of those titles no one saw coming. It's one of those Xbox handshake deals that Phil did while he was touring Asia, trying to get developers on board for this generation and next generation. And no one in their right mind would have said, yep, Crossfire X coming exclusively to the Xbox platform. No one would have thought that. And the fact that they're going to this length to redo the entire game from the ground up, make it a brand new game using Unreal Engine's most advanced tech, and having Remedy come in and drop a single player campaign in there, that sounds like a winning combination and something special to me for sure. But I want to move on to the next topic. And you know what? I mean, look, in one of the biggest jokes of the industry, right? Surrounding both Rocksteady Games and WB Montreal, there's another rumor that the Batman Arkham game called Batman Arkham Legacy could, and I'm using air quotes here, folks, be announced next month at the Game Awards. Now, I'm going to say this. We have said this. I have said it. But I'm going to die on the sword here, folks. I'm going to say that, yes, the new Batman game is going to show up at the Game Awards. It's the most watched. It's one of the most popular. In fact, it's the only award ceremony now. Granted, I've made my stance very, very public about how I feel certain things were done. But we're not going to talk about that. As a gamer, I enjoy the Game Awards. Not for the awards. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm happy to see people get accolades that work hard in these games. But we all watch it for the trailers, right? I mean, I think everybody will admit to that. They do want to see what new games, what hotness is going to be shown there. And in a story that I pulled from Game Rant, Twitter and YouTube content creator known as Kobe, or SLCMOF, reveals that he has heard from a source that he knows very close, that's a close source to him, that Batman Arkham Legacy will in fact be announced at the Game Awards 2019 on December 12th. Now, the YouTuber says that the information comes from the same guy that provided him with a leaked image from the canceled Damian Wayne Batman game. Now, that would have been kind of dope. Pictures from the Damian Wayne game were leaked in August and suggested that Damian would be the new Batman, and he would ride around on like a bat bike. And this information is coming from the same dude. Now, I will say this, and this is, of course, to the panel in the chat. This Batman game has been talked about so much that it's starting to feel like the legend, like the Yeti or the Loch Ness monster. We keep getting this, small or unconfirmed tidbits. And the only reason why I continue to talk about it is because I'm a huge Batman fan. I have been a huge fan of the series. I still think, listen, as great as Spider-Man was for last year for the PlayStation 4, and I absolutely adored that game, I still think that the Batman Arkham series still to this day is the crown jewel in superhero games. But I want to talk about Kobe's comments on his official Twitter account. And this is what he had to say. Inside scoop, new Batman game trailer dropping at the VGA's Batman Arkham Legacy. He name drops it. Now, I got to be honest with you. I've never heard of this kid before. And I thought it was really ballsy to drop the name. I mean, like, you have to be really confident and have some really close to the vest information if you're going to drop the name of the title. And I hope that we do get something so we can sink our teeth into it at the Game Awards. I'm going to be honest with you. I want to go to Nuke Nukem first on this one. You and I, you've been on many shows where I've talked about Batman, and whether it's going to involve the Court of Owls, whether it's going to involve the entire Bat family, where you're going to get everyone from that storyline, which I think would be completely dope. Do you think that the gaming world is ready? And would you be in agreement with me to say that it's about damn time we get a new Batman game?
Brother, the gaming world is more than ready for another Batman. I mean, Arkham Knight was stellar. That whole Arkham series was just blew my mind. Some of the best games of any generation, let alone the years that they came out. I don't know what the hell Rocksteady is up to. Well, I guess it's probably not Rocksteady at this point because they're doing the other game. But I guess it's more Warner Brothers.
Yeah, it's
Montreal.
WB Montreal that's working on this one, I think.
But, I mean, it's in good hands because, honestly, everybody crapped all over Batman Arkham Origins, and I actually love that game. I thought that was fantastic. Just as good. Yes. Totally. It was just as good, in my personal opinion. I don't know why everybody gets fixated on a certain developer, and it's like, if they don't do it, it's never going to be done right, which I think is a load of crap. Because as far as I'm concerned, I think you look at Halo. I think 343 has done just as good a job, if not better, than Bungie. That's just my take on it. People are, you can agree to disagree or whatever. But I loved Arkham Origins. Warner Brothers Montreal has been, and they've done a lot more than just that game. They are a very competent developer. They got some talent there. They have that engine. They know how to run it. I can't wait to see where they go with it. Could be Court of Owls. I don't know. But I mean, personally, Batman, it's all about the Bruce Wayne, man. I don't want anybody else. I want Kevin Conroy to come back and down the cowl, man, and get in there and just bring us a great story. That's what it's all about. Great story, great characters, which, of course, Batman has a ton of lore, ton of backlog stuff to go on. They haven't even scratched the surface. We've only had 3 or 4 games. So I'm excited. Batman fans should be excited. Comic book fans alone should be excited. I mean, comic books right now. I'm surprised there's not a lot more comic book games, to be quite honest with you. And that goes for anybody, like whether it's Aquaman or Shazam or Superman, Hulk, you name it. We haven't seen a lot. We're seeing this explosion in the movie industry where there's fucking these things are a dime a dozen. But in the games industry, we really had what? We've had Batman, which was successful. And the only other game that's sort of been pretty much successful since has been Spider-Man, which was well received and well done. So I think there's a huge gap. It's not about doing a comic book game and can it be done right? They certainly can. It just takes the right team. It takes the right passion. And that's the key word, the passion and knowledge, and to do it right, to do the material justice. And this is what I never understood. You know, when there's so much material, so much backlog of material, whether it's the comics or the shows, that not go out and be able to make a great game. The problem with these games always has been is that they've always usually been tied into a movie, which means a developer has to rush the process to get the game out on time. And a lot of time they can't spoil the game because or try to spoil the movie, so they switch stuff in the game so they're not spoiling the movie, because a lot of times the games come out beforehand. So you have that advantage as long as it's not tied to an actual movie. I mean, last year Spider-Man kind of came out on the heels of Far From Home, which was cool. But it wasn't tied to the movie. It's a totally different version of Spider-Man. So I would love to see more games. We saw back in the day too. Yeah, we saw that, like some guys are alluding to in the chat. There was a couple of great, incredible Hulk games that came out on the original Xbox.
Was amazing.
It was great, right? So where's more of that? Superman's a phenomenal character. If done right, I would love to see a Superman game as well. I think some people say, well, because Superman's such a, he's overpowered, how do you make an interesting game? Well, there's ways to do it. You just have to have great storytelling. Yeah. Just get a great storyteller, man. Bring in the David Goyer, the guys that did the Batman movies and stuff, and or something like that. But they could definitely do it. The consequences is going to be high. But I'm excited about Batman. I can't wait for it to come out. I hope we see something at the Game Awards. Something tells me we're going to see it sooner than later at this point. People are clamoring for it. Batman's an amazing property. It's one of the coolest superheroes on the market. And like I said, I have faith in Warner Montreal that they're going to do it and do it right. And I think it'll be awesome. Just if they go Batmobile, just ease up on it, little guys. Batmobile is cool.
Give us maybe 5% Batmobile, 90% Batman.
Absolutely.
95% Batman.
But the Batmobile doesn't need to be going around in sewers more than the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, right? Like, keep it on top of the road, man. Unless they're the same repetitious mission. Maybe some more chases or something like that, something really cool. But yeah, that was my only gripe with Arkham Knight, was that they brought the Batmobile finally after fans asking for it, and then they overdid it. Then it was kind of like, hey, well, it's all about the Batmobile, and we're going to do the same 150 missions, and you're going to do all these weird Riddler puzzles with it. I was like, yeah, that was a bit overkill. Yeah, I mean, we could see the Bat plane. That'd be cool too.
Yeah, it's definitely gonna be interesting. But you know what? Someone on Twitter had reached out to me and said, "Listen, is Arnold Schwarzenegger going to make an appearance?" And I'm hoping that I emailed him. He said he might be able to make it. And if Arnold, if you're there, my question to you is: you played Mr. Freeze in one of the Batman movies. Would you like to reprise that role in possibly the new Arkham game?
We're not to use too many puns here, Mr. Boomstick, but wouldn't that be totally cool? Yes, we'd love to go out there and play Mr. Freeze in a game. I wanted to go out there and I wanted to kick Batman's ass. He kicked my ass in the movie. I wanted to do it in the game. I wanted to bring the pain to the Batman and the Arkham Gotham series. It's a great, fantastic franchise, and that's a cool character that I want to get out there because I just want to do it. It's great. It's going to be awesome. I hope that people will come out and support the game when it comes out there. But yes, they definitely need more Mr. Freeze in there, because I want to say so many of these cheesy one-liners, because that's what I do. That's how I made my career, with cheesy one-liners. So I wanted to get out there and, we're going to rock it like Ice Ice Baby. You know what I mean? It's going to do it. It's going to be awesome. Can't wait to see what happens. I don't know if Mr. Freeze will be there, because after the Arkham Asylum games, I mean, I think they kind of put the character off to the side a little bit.
They kind of put the character on ice.
They did put me on ice. It's crazy. My bones are still freezing here. All right, but it'll be awesome, man. I can't wait. Hopefully they get me out there and just do it.
Thanks for being here, dude. I will send you the 50 cents I make from YouTube on this particular show. But thanks, dude. I really appreciate you being here. Real quick, I have to thank Sir X-Men with the $2 super chat. He says Phil needs to get me Unreal Tournament 4 on the Xbox. I think a lot of people would appreciate that. Wilmy Hood, let me get your opinion on this Batman shenanigans. Now, listen. There's no doubt there is a market for superhero games done right. Spider-Man is a perfect example. I think it's sold 15 million. I mean, I'm sure the number has ballooned since. It's a fantastic game. And every time an Arkham game came out, it did very well. And like I said, I know that like Noof was saying, a lot of people gave Arkham Origins shit. I absolutely, that's probably my number 2 favorite game. I thought it was fantastic. And I really think that if they do a Court of Owls, one of the most premier Batman stories in the history of Batman stories, and they do it big, and maybe that's why it's been taking so long where they're going to involve the entire Bat family, this, in fact, could be something special. Are you in the same camp? Do you hope that this actually gets unveiled at the Game Awards? Wilmy, you there, brother? Oh, we will come back.
Wilmy has left the hood.
Yeah, no, he might have stepped away. You know, he actually just messaged me, so maybe he stepped. Yeah, he said, you know what? Actually, yep, that's my fault as a host. Well, I'll pose that question to Tempest Sun. With everything that they've done so far with the Arkham series, if they decided to go big, and it would be rather big because the Court of Owls is no small story. Mm-hmm. They would have to involve a ton of characters. I mean, it can't just be the Court of Owls. It would have to be, the rogues gallery that we all know and love. But at the same time, Batman she's just one dude. He's not going to be able to handle it. They're going to have to involve the Bat family, like in the books. Mm-hmm. Do you first of all, is that the story you want to see done? And more importantly, are you hoping to have it shown at the Game Awards?
Oh yeah, it'd be awesome. I picked this. I would put this Batman game in the line of like the Splinter Cell game, that's there but not there. Like, yeah, what is going on? I get sick of supposed leaks sometimes. To be honest with you, I mean, Batman's not my favorite character, but I did grow up watching him. I love his games. I mean, more so Arkham City. I think that was the premier game out of all of them, and that's one of the closest things to a perfect like action game I can really think of. That game was phenomenal. And you know what? After seeing Assassin's Creed Odyssey, I know it's a completely different game, off topic, but seeing what they did there, they can make a full-size city, and they can do traversal. They can, the only thing I would say though is if you take too much time away from Batman, it's going to have that Halo 5 effect where people were pissed off you didn't play as Master Chief the whole time. Yeah. I actually really do believe that, because the game is Batman and the Court of Owls, if that's what it's called, not really Bat Family. Some people will find that to be very fun, but if you take too much screen time away from Batman, it might tick some people off.
You might get the like you were saying, the Master Chief effect.
Exactly. Yeah. So I would definitely put the Bat Family in there, but collectively between all of the Bat Family characters, maybe only give them like 30% of the screen time or something like that. And then if you really want to play as those characters, they've had side missions and extra modes in those games before, so they could do like extra co-op missions or something like that. That's
actually a great idea. That's a really smart way to play it, where you can actually have like special ops missions, like they do it for Call of Duty.
Yeah. Or even like Resident Evil does it, or some of the other ones have done it.
Yes.
So yeah, there's many things that they could do. But yeah, they can pull this game off. I don't know. Technically, you can't say it's in development hell because we don't know anything. We really don't. You can't say it's in development hell because they've been tight-lipped. You have no idea what's going on. It could be going perfectly according to plan. It could just be a massive game. The other thing is, too, it might have gone so far in development, they might want to save it for the extra horsepower and the new systems, too.
Oh, wow. That's a great point. Yeah, no, I never thought about that.
It's the whole of Gotham City. And listen, I don't want to hear that same excuse where everybody's been evacuated out of the city. And there's nobody there. It's Gotham City. You're not going to evacuate the whole freaking city.
No, it has to be a living, breathing city again. Yes, I agree.
Yeah, and make it so you don't want to be seen by people because you'll freak him out or something like that. You're scary. You're the Batman. That's his job. He's a freaking scary bat ninja, So you could have some cool interactions with some NPCs that might happen to see you or something like that. There's the sky's the limit, honestly. Oh, and to Noo's point, he was saying, why isn't there more superhero games? Probably because it's extremely expensive to even make them, just in terms of licensings and stuff like that. I think that's probably the biggest thing holding these games back from getting made. I bet you people would want to make these games, but it's probably really expensive. I think that's one of the reasons why Telltale went under, because they were paying for all those licensing fees to try to do these licensed, Telltale games. So I think that's a huge reason.
That and they oversaturated the market with their games.
That's
one didn't even cool off before they already had another one coming out. They should have just took their time with it. But that's a story for another day. But Telltale was promising, but they should have switched up their gameplay a little bit too. But I think they just went overboard. They got a little too crazy, and then people were just kind of like, it's another Telltale game.
Yeah, I've said this on Breakfast with Boom a few times. The one game I want more than any other superhero game, and it's not even super bombastic with powers and stuff. I want a really engrossing, story-driven Punisher game.
Yes, now we're talking.
I want to play as Frank Castle in a deep. I want John Bernthal to play him too.
Oh yeah, he would. Yeah,
I want his growls.
Yeah, that would be dope. Sir X-Men drops an outstanding and very generous $2 super chat. He brings up a good point. He says they should make an Ultimate Alliance DC game. Marvel Ultimate Alliance is a great game. It's on the Switch. It's fantastic. If you haven't played it, that's a good game to get on the Switch. I have it. I love it. And a DC one would be kind of dope for sure. But let me go to Wilmy Hood on this Batman topic. Obviously, the Arkham trilogy, because when you talk to people are kind of full of shit, right? They'll be like the Arkham trilogy, and they forget that Origins exists because it was made by the other guys, that other team. Well, that other team, folks, if you didn't know, is currently working on the Court of Owls, supposedly. Now we have seen pictures, right? One of the employees from WB Montreal took a picture of her wearing a Court of Owls T-shirt, and it had to get taken down. Which, come on, I mean, the evidence is there. But for you personally, do you think that the gaming world is ready for a new Batman game? But like Tempest's son was saying, do you think that because it might be so big, should they wait for next-gen consoles?
I think they should. And with me, this is kind of a weird topic. I'm really not into these type of games, although I did play Batman Arkham, and I played the new Spider-Man. I thought it was a great game. I would play another one, but I just don't know all the history and backstory on the game like most of these guys do.
Well, I mean, listen, it's one of the new, well, it's not new, but it's one of the newer, more in-depth villains. There was a Court of Owls was something of a real Batman story. Some people consider it one of the best Batman tales because it really was deep on how embedded the Court of Owls were into Gotham. It was really unbelievable. And Michelle Alexander, I believe Alexandria, said in the chat that she doesn't even know how that they would do that because it's so in depth, unless they're building the game to be a trilogy. That could be, or at least, multiple releases finishing off the story. That's not been done, so that would be certainly interesting. But I have to welcome our very good friend, Gaming Forte. You made it, brother. How are you doing?
I don't know. This weekend kind of drained me, man. It's
yeah. I mean, you do work for GameStop. Man, it was Black Friday on Friday, and it was, sale.
Well, just put it this way. Wednesday last week was my last day off, and tomorrow is my first day off in a week. So it was cool. It was fun. I didn't have any issues. Guests were really, really cool. Sold a bunch of Xboxes and PlayStations and Nintendo, especially Nintendo Switches. Sold a crap ton of that. But man, I don't want to see another box to ship to someone's house for another week because I shipped out so much stuff to people through online. But no, man, I was contemplating if I was gonna say, man, am I gonna jump on here right now because I'm dead tired? But I was like, I gotta keep my streak alive. I gotta jump in here at least for the last hour and say, what's up, Boom? What's up, everybody? And be a part of this conversation.
Well, listen, you know what? I'm glad you jumped in because actually Clown stepped away, so he's not going to give his opinion on this. You know, he's not a big superhero fan. He had to take care of some family stuff. So I want to ask your opinion on this. You know, there was the story that we're talking about is the inside scoop leak of the new Batman game titled Batman Arkham Legacy, supposedly, in air quotes, being unveiled at the Game Awards, which is happening in 10 days. And somebody, a very, well, I guess a popular YouTuber / content creator dropped this nugget on his Twitter account. And obviously the internet went crazy. And the question I was actually asking each individual member, and of course the chat as well, do you think it's time for Batman to make his return? Or from what we're hearing, this game being so large, you know, focusing on the Court of Owls story, do you think that they should wait until next-gen consoles to release it?
Well, I don't think it's too early because right now, especially when it comes to DC and their publications, they're kind of on a roll with their movies and stuff like that. So I can see them actually, you know, diving deeper in and trying to establish a story around Batman because we already know that they are in the works of making another Batman stuff. We just don't know who is going to be and stuff like that. So I think that gets more people interested in just the DC properties as a whole. I guarantee you they see what happened with Spider-Man, and there is like, you know, as much as Batman isn't as big as like a global icon like Spider-Man is, it still lets people know or lets them know that there is something out there that can really sell like gangbusters in the superhero genre. So I think Rocksteady being the people that actually started this when it comes to the superhero genre, it's something that I definitely think they want to dive deep into. When it comes to if they should wait till next gen, me personally, I think if it is announced now, they're going to show it off like on high-end PCs and stuff, and it's going to probably end up being a next-gen title anyways. I don't foresee it coming out and being something that is going to be... I don't think they want to really hold back this type of game with the type of scope that they're looking for with just original Xbox and PlayStation hardware. I think they're going to be looking towards the sky, and they're going to say that if we're going to do this and go back into this world, we're going to do it bigger and better than we did with the previous 3 games. And I'm super excited for it. I mean, they were, you know, some people didn't like all like Origins and stuff like that. But ultimately, when it came to the Batman storylines, I enjoyed them just because it lived out the fantasy that I wanted to live out when I played as Batman, just like Superman, like not Superman, but like Spider-Man did for the Marvel Spider-Man game. So I hope that they make it a next-gen title. I hope that they take their time and really put a lot of effort and development around this game because we've been hearing about Batman being something that they were working on for a while now. It's starting to turn into Splinter Cell at this point, where we don't know if it's actually going to come or not.
Yes.
Every year we're saying, "What's Rocksteady working on?" Every year we're saying, "When's the next Splinter Cell coming out? When are we going to hear out about it? When we're going to hear this? When we're going to hear that?" So that's where I think they are with this. And I think if they are going to show it off at the Game Awards, which would be a good place to do it just to get, you know, the holiday season jump started, and they could throw that date up there for next holiday saying available on next gen consoles, or you want to say PS4 and Xbox One too, that's fine. But I'm excited. And I think that the world is ready for another Batman because DC has proved that they can craft great stories in just movies, and that can actually build around the games too.
Yeah, well, that's actually a great way to close out this particular topic. Just have to thank Michelle Alexandria with the outstanding and very generous $2 super chat. Thanks for always being here. Do appreciate it very much. And of course, thank you for your generosity. Let's move on to the next topic. And this one has me very excited. In a story that brought a huge smile to my face, Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order developer Respawn Entertainment apparently really, and I mean really, wants to make a sequel to 2019's biggest surprise. Now, it's a known fact that Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order has been well received by players and critics alike, but many have wondered if EA would invest in a sequel to the game. It now seems that Jedi Fallen Order may provide a new hope, pun intended, for players who want more Star Wars adventures. The sales of the game have been impressive, and the developer Respawn appears to be keen to create more games in the Star Wars universe. Now, according to the article that I pulled from Game Rant, one of my favorite places to get news for these shows, Respawn's brand strategy director, Charlie Hauser, had discussed the future of the series, and this is what he said. Hauser simply replied yes when asked whether the developer would be interested in continuing the franchise. Hauser later expanded on his answer, explaining that the team had a blast making the game and that its future was dependent on its reception. Now, I have to go right to my panel. It's safe to say, panel, that Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order has been a huge success for both Respawn and the dreaded empire known as Electronic Arts. And it's also safe to assume that a sequel has to happen at this point. My questions to you are very simple. And I'll start with Wilmy Hood on this. Do you want to see a sequel to the game that left the door wide open for one? And what has been your experience with the title?
I haven't even played it yet, but
well, that's not good. That's okay, but listen, you obviously, you've been keeping your ear to the floor. You see the critical and commercial success this game has had. Star Wars is hot. The Mandalorian is an unbelievable series. Episode 9 launches in 18 days, which I cannot wait to see. But this is an original story penned by someone that brought us Titanfall 2 single player campaign, and they knocked it out of the park once again. Or do you want to see a sequel to this game?
If Respawn's doing it, I'm for it.
Okay. Now, is there a reason why you haven't played it yet? Is it one of those backlog type titles?
It is, and plus, it's that time of year, man. My business goes haywire this time of year, so I don't get a lot of free time right now.
Okay, I mean, that makes perfect sense, but at least you're able to say that you want to see a sequel if Respawn is making it.
Oh, definitely. I'm a big fan of Respawn. I was a big, Titanfall player, so I enjoy their games. And they usually do very well with them. Yeah, well, they certainly know how to tell a story. There's no doubt about it. I mean, they made you care about about the Titan in Titanfall 2, and you cared about the pilot, and it with Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, you cared about everything about those characters. Everybody on that ship mattered to you. It was very interesting the way they did that. Listen, it's again, it's a shame that you haven't played it because it is one of 2019 gems, no doubt about it. If Mucinex will allow me to, I may actually give it a shot tonight after the podcast. Well, hopefully Mucinex, damn it, why don't you let him play, okay? I want to go to Noof Nukem on this. Noof, listen, everyone knows, and I've been touting this, I almost 1,000 out of 1,000 achieved everything in that game. I'm missing one achievement. I loved it. It's not my game of the year. And obviously I've been talking about that. But it is one of my favorite games of this, not only this generation, but it's probably one of the best Star Wars games in a decade. And that's saying a lot because, for crying out loud, come on, man, it's Star Wars. There's so much story to tell. Why aren't there better games and why aren't there more of them? I don't know. But for you, Noof, what are your thoughts on the actual game? And do you want to see Respawn make a sequel to 2019's biggest surprise?
Well, I think Star Wars Jedi The Fallen Order is a phenomenal game. It definitely is one of those surprise games of the year. I mean, I think we all had pretty high hopes when we heard about it, knowing that Respawn was behind it. But the one thing we had to wonder was, how rushed was this game? that sort of thing. Was it going to be a rush job? Was EA going to meddle with it a lot? That sort of thing, and force things on them perhaps that they didn't want. It does feel like a labor of love. Like EA may have stepped back a little bit here and let them make the game that they wanted to make. And again, it's not tied directly into a movie, so there you go. There's no preconceived notions about what the game needs to be or should be. Cool character, cool graphics, really good visceral lightsaber fighting inside of the game. Like it's not my game of the year either so far, but I'm not finished it yet, so I'll kind of leave that verdict for down the road. But I'm getting further. I was playing it just before we got on this podcast, and I am enjoying it a lot. That sort of thing. So, with Respawn too, Respawn's only done the Titanfall games prior to this, so we didn't even know if they could make a competent third-person action game. But yeah, if anybody had any doubts, I think they proved this wrong, and it has me extremely excited if they decide to move forward with a sequel in the future, as long as those guys are behind it, that sort of thing. So yeah, it looks good. It's kind of funny too, that they go back to the Unreal Engine, that sort of stuff, because a lot of the EA games have been constantly pushing the DICE engine for everything, which I think happened to be one of the downfalls with BioWare and the Mass Effect. Andromeda was that big change kind of midway into production, kind of switching over, getting them to go with a new engine, which obviously a lot of their staff were probably not overly familiar with, which would explain a lot of the animation troubles and things that the game had as well. So, like I said, man, I love the game. I think it's awesome. Cal's pretty cool. Was it BB, whatever the hell he is pretty neat little character. The environments are neat. I'm really digging the game, man. They did great. If it's, a lot of people are putting it as their game of the year, and if it's not game of the year, it should definitely probably be up there, probably in the top 5 of this year so far. I'm really enjoying it. I think so far, when it comes to my game of the year, people are going to boo me for this, but I'm probably going to have to say I'm leaning a little bit on Call of Duty Modern Warfare, which I thought was just incredible.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. Listen, it was when you say big surprise, obviously, we know where Respawn Entertainment came from, right? They are the heart and soul of what Infinity Ward was. Now, obviously, when Vincent Pella and his partner left, we know what happened. We know that they were escorted by security out of the door, and they started this company. Titanfall 1 came out. I loved it. I'm not only, again, and it's shocking for me because I don't usually play only multiplayer type games, and really wanted a single player, and they brought that in Titanfall 2, and the story was incredible. It was really well done, probably one of the best this generation, right? And then you hear that they're going to do a Star Wars game, and now I'm like, wow, they're going to make a third-person Star Wars game. I knew they can do it, but you just never know, right? I mean, they just did back-to-back big first-person robot-type titles, and they really just knocked it out of the park, Nuve. And this was a great surprise. I'm so happy for both Respawn and even EA. I mean, listen, I know they're the dreaded empire, and they're a bunch of scumbags, just like Activision is, and we know who they are. But they've had some really crummy Star Wars titles. The Battlefront titles. Listen, they look beautiful, but obviously we know that they were marred with a lot of shortcomings, and then of course, loot box gate happened, and it just ruined everything about the Star Wars game. So I'm glad to see them doing something good with the license. Me personally, I think that would be almost a crime against humanity not to get a sequel to this game. Again, I'm not going to spoil the ending, but it's left in typical Star Wars form and fashion, left wide open for a sequel. And I'm going to go to Gaming Forte on this. Gaming Forte, have you had a chance to play Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order yet?
Yeah, beat it. Finished it.
You beat it. Okay, so do you think, in your opinion, that the game warrants a sequel?
Yes, they left it pretty. So my thought process of why they left it so open. it could be its own contained story. It could just be the end. But I think this was basically a call that they were saying, hey, they wanted Disney to see that that they had a studio that can really craft a single player story that will be very reminiscent of what you can get in the movies and stuff. And the fact that Disney did make this part of the Star Wars canon, where it does take place after the Order 66, in between the next movie, and this will actually be in those books going forward. I think that gave them kind of much to say, hey, I don't even know if Disney actually greenlit it or anything and said that they do want one, but as soon as they made it canon, that told EA, hey, if this is going to be part of the Star Wars canon, let's move forward with another version of the game because people really like this game. You got people calling it Game of the Year. It's one of those games that a lot of people are outraged that didn't get a chance to actually, show its case at the Game Awards because it was supposedly too late for it to be voted on.
Crime against humanity.
I agree. And speaking of which, shout out to Jeff Keighley because I did retweet one of his tweets where he was asking people in the community, hey, is there any games that you guys wish that were nominated that didn't get nominated? And I just thought that was pretty funny just for him to tweet that out because he knew
it's funny you should bring that up because this is not about Jeff Keighley. At this point, I'm done talking about the guy. It is the Game Awards are going to be what the Game Awards is. My opinion is very public and it's very known, and that's what I'll say. But I saw that tweet. I actually answered that tweet. And I said it that Star Wars is one of the gems of 2019. It's almost a crime that it wouldn't be nominated. Do you think that he was trolling?
Look, man, when he put that tweet up, I thought the first thing I thought, I was like, dude, this dude is really trolling. I can't believe, like, what kind of response did he think he was going to get off of a tweet like that? I was like, okay, this is pretty funny. I just went along with it. But like you said, this ain't about him. But I do think overall that was a troll tweet to say the least. But that game deserves to have a sequel. I think Respawn, the evolution between the Titanfall 1 and Titanfall 2 was great. Adding that single player, and now I think we get a chance to see what Respawn can really, really do. When they have the time and even more of a budget behind them, because trust me, EA has a lot. They're still paying for the stuff they did in Battlefront 2. People still haven't forgot that. So trust me, now that they know that they got a franchise and they got a developer that can craft a single player story narrative that can wow people and got people saying man, I can't believe EA actually let this game come out the door. I think they're going to let Vince Zampella and them do what they need to do with the next title. And hopefully this shows them that just because a game doesn't have a multiplayer and it doesn't have loot boxes, it doesn't mean the game's not going to sell and it's not going to perform. And
dude, it sounds like hotcakes, bro.
It sounded like dude, I sold out of it over the whole weekend. And guess what? That is one of the games that wasn't even on sale.
Wow.
That game was not discount. People were coming to the store like, hey, how much is Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order? I was like, oh, it's regular price. It just came out. They was like, really? I was like, yeah. People were buying. I was sold out the whole weekend of it. And it's pretty crazy. And people was like, it's not even discount. So the fact that game was able to sell as well as it did, granted, the movie has a lot to do with it because the movie's coming up. Mandalorian is an amazing TV show. Just finished the fourth episode last night with my wife. So I think Star Wars has a lot for it right now, and the nothing better could happen for Respawn in this regard because they were known as just a shooting franchise making development house, and now they have completely changed that narrative with something like a single player action oriented game that has nothing to do with Americans being brain dead and wanting to play shooters all day. And that was just a shot, but I'm sorry. But overall, man, I do expect I do expect them to make another sequel, and I'm really glad that Zip Papella is on that board so he can continue to show EA that this is what we need to keep doing when it comes to these single player games and narratives that people want to play.
No, that's a great point. Tempest, before I get your opinion on this, I have to thank two people. First of all, Sir X-Man with the additional and outstanding $5 super chat. He says This was EA's last shot to keep the Star Wars license. They almost lost it with their last 2 Star Wars games. That's why this game had to be good. Well, yeah, there's no doubt about that for sure. And Gotham Guy with the outstanding and extremely generous $20 super chat. He says, I wonder if people remember it was Microsoft who funded Respawn to finish Titanfall. Yes, sir. That's a little known fact. Without the success of that, there wouldn't be an Apex Legends, and we probably wouldn't have gotten the great Star Wars game we know today. That is a great point. First of all, thanks for being here, Gotham Guy. Me and him, obviously, you know, we have we're very close as friends. This very nice gentleman who was a stranger at one point. If I told the story once, I'll tell it again. Was nice enough to offer me his +1 to Xbox Fan Fest E3 2019. Something I'll never forget for the rest. Of course, generosity, $20 super chat, dude. Thank you so much for doing that. But Tempest, obviously, you're a Star Wars fan, and to say that the gaming world was ready for a new adventure that had its ties to the original, but told its own new story. That's what they did. That's what Respawn did. And what's amazing is that it's canon. And who is to say that one or two of the near future films may actually involve this kid that played the Joker on Gotham? And he's a fantastic actor. And he completely knocked it out of the park. What are your thoughts on Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order? And more importantly, are you happy to hear they're talking sequel?
Oh, dude, yeah. It's Respawn, man. I mean, I have so much respect for Respawn. I think they're the only developer under EA that wears a chastity belt, because it seems like EA does not want to screw with this company. Like, they're allowed to do whatever the heck they want to do. And they're talented. I mean, I had no doubt, even though they've only really done shooters, I have no doubt that, they couldn't produce a good Star Wars game. And I might be frauding a little bit here. I haven't played much of Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, but it's not because I don't want to. I think it's my own fault. I have it on PC through EA Access, the one you pay for. And so I got to play it for $15 instead of just buying it. It looks best on PC, plays best on PC, but I feel like it's a console game. Something about it, like I want to lounge back in my couch on a big screen and play it. So I'll probably pick it up when it's on sale or something like that. Or maybe even before that. But I really do want to play it. These guys they're oozing talent. I mean, they're just like a badass developer. Like, honestly, like from Titanfall 1 to 2 and then Apex,
yes.
Everything they do the best. Like, I'm sorry, but the gunplay, the movement mechanics in Titanfall. I mean, when's the last time you were ever able? There was a game years ago on PC. It was like Shogun something, but you could go from pilot to mech, seamlessly. But it was not like it was in Titanfall. I mean, Titanfall, you swoop down and get picked up by your own mech in real time and see yourself get sucked into that puppy. And you run around and you do battle as a mech. I mean, these guys are they're at the top of their craft. Honestly, I kind of hate the fact, even though it seems like EA kind of leaves them alone. When I saw they were bought by EA, I wasn't really mad that EA bought them. I was mad that Microsoft didn't buy them, to be completely honest. It's a great point. With you. That's what I was kind of upset about, because these guys are just like Vince Zampella. Yeah, they're cool dudes, man. Like, I know they don't do everything right. There was some controversy about the microtransactions and Apex, stuff like that. But, for the most part, to me, these guys are almost untouchable. Like, if you were to give me a choice, like, I want a Punisher game. Who do you want to make your Punisher game? It's got to have good shooting mechanics. I'd pick Respawn. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'd do it. So I love these guys, and I hope they get a sequel. I don't know. I am liking The Mandalorian so much. I haven't played Jedi Fallen Order to the end, so I might like that more, maybe. But personally, I like it so much, I want to see them tackle a bounty hunter game in the Star Wars universe.
That would be dope. So. Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. That's a great point. Well, listen, all I can tell you is that Star Wars is, there's a lot going on there. I mean, a lot of people, some people are really excited about the sequel trilogy. It's going to be coming to an end with the Rise of Skywalker. A lot of people are happy to see it go. All I can tell you is that some big changes are coming in the form of Star Wars. If you're a fan, if you have been, you loved it, or you've been disappointed with the sequel trilogies, I got news for you. There's a YouTuber by the name of Josh. He runs a channel called The Den of Nerds. It's one of my premier. I look forward to it almost like a kid waiting for the new comic book to go on the rack at your local Optimo. And I listen to him every day. And if you're not subscribed to the Den of Nerds, and I'm not getting anything from it. Josh doesn't even know who I am, but I'm a fan. And I like promoting others, even when they're. I mean, he has 108,000 subscribers, so I'm tiny compared to him. But I love what he does there. There is some talk that not only is Kevin Feige taking over Star Wars, but the Filoni and the guy that was putting together, that was an Iron Man. What the hell? My God, what's his name? I hate having a brain fart live on the air. But Jon Favreau, those three guys, along with, get this, folks, George Lucas, may be brought back into, and those four guys are going to be taking over Star Wars. Apparently, Kathleen Kennedy is going to be stepping down next year, and I think you're going to get more Mandalorian-type Star Wars films moving forward. And I think the whole world actually wants to see that happen. But Clowns, I want to get your opinion on this. Now, Jedi Fallen Order is a game that people expected to be good, but no one really knew, because quite frankly, it's out of their umbrella, if you will. They make first person shooters. First it was with Call of Duty, and now it's with the Titanfall, and it's Apex Legends. So no one knew how they were going to handle the Star Wars IP. And they knocked it out of the park. Have you played Jedi Fallen Order, and are you excited to know that same team will, in fact, bring a sequel to us in the next couple of years?
Yes. I played Jedi Fallen Order. I beat it. I love the game. I think it's fantastic. I doubted the game before it even came out. I was thinking, no, it's not going to be good. I don't think Respawn could do this, and I'm really surprised. I didn't even want the guy that played the Joker in Gotham to play the main character. It had to grow on me, but once it did, I was like, wow, this is all fitting together pretty nicely. I'm really shocked. So it's a gem. I'm glad I played and I beat it and bought it and played through it several times. I'm excited for the sequel. The only thing I wish for is I wish that, they would branch out and let you play as the Empire or the Imperials. You know what I mean? Like, I want to be what most consider to be the bad guys, but I'm just trying to bring order to the galaxy, to those rebel scum. You know what I mean?
I love it. I mean, listen, why not? Why not see it from the Empire's perspective and their ideologies as why they try to rule the galaxy with an iron fist? It would be certainly interesting, and certainly I think it's something that Respawn could tackle well. But I'm glad you enjoyed it, and I'm happy to know, and to be honest, I'm going to be honest here, folks. Okay. As excited as I am for any new Star Wars game, especially a good one, there's a part of me that's slightly disappointed and a part of me that's excited. The excited Craig is the Star Wars fanboy in me that was 7 years old and saw it in the theater. Okay. That's how old I am, folks. Okay. But the other half of me is, damn, I have been dying for a Titanfall 3. And because of the success of Apex Legends and now Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, I'm probably not going to get that for years. And that to me is a very disappointing, because I'm a huge Titanfall fan. And quite frankly, I'm actually really, really good. Now, obviously, I haven't played in a while, so my skills are probably a little rusty. But I love that game, and it's something that I hope that they get around to doing. But let's move on to the last
breaking news, Boom. I heard that if the success of the Star Wars game keeps up, then EA is actually going to get a developer, and they're going to have Rock Band, the Star Wars Cantina edition.
Oh no!
Dun, 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 dun,
Ooh.
I hope not, man, because that would be terrible. But that's actually a good one because I like that move. That's good. But I hope not. Let's hope that they don't fall into that trap. But the last topic I want to bring up is one that I think everyone is going to be excited to talk about. 343's new slip space engine shows off its technical prowess, and Halo Infinite is being positioned to have benchmark graphics for the Xbox Scarlett, bringing it the best visuals ever in the long-running franchise. Now, great graphics are only one part of what makes a title something that will sell consoles, get gamers excited, and possibly be in the running for that elusive Game of the Year trophy. In an article that I pulled from the pages of Gaming Boat, 343 is looking to have all of these traits and then some for Halo Infinite, which is launching next year right alongside the Xbox Scarlett. Slipspace has been described by 343 Industries as the biggest investment the studio has ever in its history made. Slipspace is, in fact, a big deal. This is the most important technical achievement 343 has ever done, not just because it's a new engine. It's a new engine built with the Xbox Scarlett in mind. Now, we know that the Xbox Scarlett will bolster better GPU performance than the Xbox One X. That is confirmed. This new Slipspace engine was made to change many things gamers have come to expect in the franchise that saw its first release in 2001 on the launch of the Xbox, the OG Xbox. But from what we're hearing, Halo Infinite is not only going to have insane graphics, but open up the world never before seen. I, for one, have been asking for big changes for the franchise since its total of 7 titles when you count ODST and Halo Reach, which is set to grace the Xbox One tomorrow, which I cannot wait. Now, the same way the Coalition has changed Gears 5 with its open world, light RPG mechanics, new multiplayer modes, I think it's time for 343 Industries to take the franchise to the next level. Now, this might not be the popular opinion, but big changes need to come for the Master Chief, and the old days of corridor shooters being the biggest part of what made Halo great have to be updated to modern day scenarios. And that's just my opinion. Halo has always told an excellent story through its cutscenes, and I'm expecting that a huge part of what makes the Master Chief who he is, what makes Cortana and whoever the big bad is, needs to be in Halo Infinite times 10. Now, this is a loaded question. Okay, now I have a feeling that this is going to be a very divided topic, not only on the panel, but in the chat as well. And because some Xbox fans want Halo Infinite to be just like Halo with better graphics, and the other camp want a total overhaul, bringing a new engine, a new story, new characters, and a new way to explore the Halo universe. And that is the camp that I currently sit in. The question here, guys, is simple but complex at the same time. And I'll start with Wilmy Hood. What do you want, but more importantly, need to see from Halo Infinite when it releases in 2020?
Trying to get the thoughts together on it, actually. It's I just want to see a game that's more fluid. The story, they've got that covered. A new engine would be great. I mean, it's 2020 in just a few days, man. Everybody's using the same engine. Some of them it's time to replace them. I just want to see a big, huge game that does what it should. I mean,
let me pose a different question to you that may make a little bit more sense. Gears 5, the Coalition took Gears 5 in the direction that I cheered on. I cheered it on. I got booed almost off of my own show because people were like, wait a second. Don't you put your peanut butter in my chocolate there, Boom. I like my Gears the way it is. And I say, no, I don't like that Gears anymore because it's not that it's old, but we've done that. We need some new things. Would you like to see similar changes done differently, but still bring something new to the franchise when it launches next year?
Yes, I just hope they did it better than Gears.
Okay, all right. No, well, I mean, I'm not expecting it to be anything like Gears, but I'd love to explore the different Halos. I'd love to be able to go off into the distance and not be stopped by a glossy wall.
Exactly. If it's going to be open world, I want to, like you just said, I want to be able to explore everything. I don't want to ride around on a sled for, 30 minutes from one spot to the next. I want to be able to, shoot things. That's my biggest concern. I just want to shoot shit. It's Halo. And I just want to look around and, I just want it to be overwhelming. I don't want anything else to be quite like it.
Yeah, I mean, well, I agree with you there. I absolutely agree with you, and I want it to be so bad. I mean, listen, some people will say, "Well, wait a second, Wilmy. What do you mean overwhelming? You mean overwhelming like Assassin's Creed, where I can't get?" No, we don't want Assassin's Creed coming into Halo. We don't want the worlds being that big, but we want to be able to explore, and we need some new changes. And I'm not trying. And listen. What I'm hoping is that it's just going to be a good Halo game. Don't try to be like Call of Duty. Don't try to be like Apex Legends. Just be what you are. Be a good Halo game. Tell an incredible story. And for God's sakes, let us play as Master Chief. That's all I'm going to say about it.
Exactly.
I want to go to Gaming Forte on this. Gaming Forte, you have a love for Halo, but we also know that you have a tremendous love for Bungie as a company because you play so much Destiny. And it would be, obviously one of Bungie's finest Halo releases or games is going to be released tomorrow on Xbox Game Pass. And I cannot wait to play Halo Reach in 4K 60 glory. But getting back to the Halo Infinite, in your opinion, and obviously this is going to be it's going to go. This subject has a lot of people on both sides getting upset. Some people want it to remain Halo. I think that's a mistake. I think it can be Halo, but it could be a different kind of Halo, which is what I want. For you, how much do you want to remain the same? But more importantly, how much do you want to see change come to the Master Chief in Halo Infinite?
Man, Halo Infinite. The thing is, Halo needs to change. I don't want to see like grand sweeping changes to it. I mean, I wanted to still keep the identity of what the game actually is when it comes to especially the multiplayer portion. I want to see Forge World still in there. I just want to see bigger and better ways to be able to express yourself in map creation and expression of skill. That's one of the things that Halo does the best. But when it comes to the single player, I just need them to put a coherent story along a very competent multiplayer. I need them to put two things together. I don't need them to do 3 or 4. I just need the multiplayer and the single player to both be good at the same time. That's what's been the bugaboo for Halo for the longest. However, how they innovate with the game is, I'll leave that to them, because they know what they want to do with their game. I don't think they really done bad with the things they wanted to do with the games. They just executed on it poorly over the course of the last couple of entry points of Halo. And I would think the biggest thing is they need to take feedback on people don't want to play as other people. They want to play as Chief. They want to play, you can have situations where they play as other people, but not long stints of playing without your, the person that actually drew you into the franchise. I think it's going to be some big wholesale changes because I think Halo is going to be more open world. I think it's going to be more open than Gears of War was, and Gears of War had hub worlds and stuff in it. So I think that those are all possibilities. I just need them to take their time, make the game as good as it possibly could be and bring it out when it's ready. That's what I'm looking forward for Reach. I'm looking forward from the same thing. And I know what that story is going to give me. I just want a coherent story with good multiplayer. If they could do that, that's all everybody wants from Halo. And we'll judge it accordingly off of the things they do around that. But 343 just needs to put it all together at this point.
That's a great point. It's very interesting that you have that you come up with that, because I know that a lot of people may not want to hear this. I don't want Halo to become Destiny. That's not what I'm looking for. But I think that when you play a game like for instance, you take Gears 5, for instance. Gears 4 to Gears 5 is a tremendous leap of it being different. Yes, it was still the same tight shooting mechanics that we all know and love. The roadie running, the gore, the viciousness, right? We knew what we get when you pop on a Gears of War game. But Gears 5 did something different. And they made it different enough where it still felt like Gears, but it was still some new things that gave it flavor, right? You still had that steak, right? That steak that you love your steak, but it was just cooked a little different and made it even better. I want to see them go crazy with Halo Infinite. I'm not saying that it shouldn't look and play like Halo. I'm just saying that the world itself is such a vast universe of stories to be told. We should not still in 2020 be stuck in the same little corridor, running through the same forest or flood base or whatever. It needs to be different, and the big bad has to be the guy from Halo Wars 2. They have to make the guy scary. They have to make him. They have to make whoever the big bad is going to be. It's going to have to be more than just Cortana going crazy. Rampant. Yeah, no, it has to be more than that. I don't know. I mean, I'm excited. I think that this is an opportunity. See, the one thing I will say that I'm excited but a bit nervous is that this is an opportunity for Microsoft to really do that 1-2 punch. You're releasing a new console. It's expected to maintain the most powerful hardware. You've heard Phil say it before that they're never again going to be behind the 8 ball in power. And then you're bringing out Halo Infinite with a new engine. And if they could just pull it off and you get both a great console and an amazing Halo experience, people will come back to Xbox. Yeah. I really believe that. Anything you'd like to add before I move to another panel member there, Forte?
Man, see you saying that you're so it's so true. It's right, and the same thing can be said if this game doesn't live up to what it needs. I believe this is Microsoft's last chance with Halo. I truly and I'm a Halo fan. I love Halo, but I feel like Halo's already long in the tooth. It's a game that the only saving grace it has is because the people that love the game so much still play games now. But that demographic is so different now because I used to play nothing but games like Halo, like first-person shooters, nothing but Halo back then. Now I play Star Wars and I play other games. Other things really interest me other than just a game where I just, like you said, walk down corridors and just shoot at other people. That's not the only thing I like to play anymore. So I just feel like all of us that remember those nights of going to our friend's house and hooking up LAN parties and TVs and Xbox Connect and all this other stuff to be able to play with our friends and stuff, or just challenge other people in other neighborhoods and go to these tournaments, we're the ones that suffer the most because we remember how Halo used to be and how great it was. And Microsoft it's a really big chance that if this next Halo does not live up to what, I'm not saying it has to like completely and utterly be what we want it to be, but it has to be something fresh enough to want to bring back the hardcore fans and make them remember how Halo was great, but at the same time bringing that new that new casual fan, like the Fortnite people that love to just emote and dance and do crazy stuff like that all the time. I mean, that's what they need to do. But I just want Halo to be good and I'll be happy. But at this point, I just feel like Microsoft, we will get a really good glimpse on how Microsoft feels about Halo and how important it is to them next generation. When that game launches, if they throw out all the bells and whistles and the marketing is like top notch, like it should be for a Halo game, and we don't even have to wonder where those commercials and stuff are, then we know Microsoft's taking it serious. They didn't take Gears of War serious until the freaking game released the day before.
Yeah,
we don't need to see that with Halo. So
no, that's going to be a marketing. That's going to be a huge piece of 2020's budget,
and that's what it needs to be, and that's where it should start at.
That's actually a great point. Real quick, before I get to Noof Nukem on this particular topic, Pixel Bit G drops an outstanding and very generous $5 super chat. He says Halo needs to feel raw, like Halo Combat Evolved. When you land on the ring, open branching missions, enemies all over the place, lots of exploration, and Chief's story. Very well said. Elemental P drops a $2 super chat. He says, "Good evening, gamers." Atriox. Yes. Thank you. I could not remember. How did I forget that name? Atriox was the bomb. Yes, and he was a scary villain. Sir X-Man drops an additional $2 super chat. He says, "We just want Halo to be Halo, and that's all we want." And I agree. And Elemental P drops an additional $5 super chat and saying, "I'm saying this again. Rod, please remake Bloodwake for today. It's Gears on Water Chaos." Man, Bloodwake was so good, dude. That's crazy. But Noof, let me ask your opinion on this. You know, obviously, there's a lot of pressure on 343. And I think that there are a lot of fans that want to see a good Halo game. How confident are you that they are going to deliver in 2020?
Well, I'm very confident they're going to deliver a fantastic Halo game. But the thing I'm not confident in is how well it's going to be received by the audience. You know, Forte alluded to it, that the gaming industry has changed a lot. What once was our, flavor of the week is no longer the flavor anymore. And a large part of our industry right now is being driven by free-to-play games.
Yeah.
And by a younger, more casual gaming core. Like, we are the hardcore that basically been weaned and grew up on Halo, much like we were with Mario in those games. But they don't have to reinvent the wheel here, but they definitely have to make this a real showcase title for the console, graphically and things, which I'm fairly confident that's going to be fine. I just hope that the new engine is not a difficult thing, that we don't see a lot of hiccups out of the box. I mean, this is going to be a huge game, and the last thing we need is another botched launch, much like we saw with Gears 5. That would not look good at all, and I'm sure that's being reiterated in the boardrooms right now at 343 and Microsoft. The guys get this right. You've got over 20 years pretty much now of or pretty close to 20 years of like multiplayer experience, campaign and stuff. So let's put it all in one basket and let's get this shit working right out of the box. What I would like to see a little bit more in Halo is I want to see a little bit more life come to it. What I've always found with Halo was one of its strengths is also one of its weaknesses, very alien. Okay.
Yes.
Master Chief is very, very mysterious in himself. He's a great character, but I found if you don't have a great villain, your franchise falls. And we saw that with Gears. We saw that after ROM, there really wasn't a villain with the same sense of weight, same sense of, oh my God. Atriox, like from the Halo Wars, is a pretty cool one. Maybe they can incorporate that in, or maybe they just go a completely different route. But I want to see my favorite parts of the Halo games were always when Chief sort of went back to the Earth or whatever, to New Mombasa, and there's places that feel a little bit more familiar, a little bit more lived in. There's foliage, there's trees, that sort of stuff. Whereas all of a sudden you got into the confines of like some of these Covenant ships, and everything looks blah, like everything looks like graphics that could be done on the last gen hardware, because there's no textures. Everything is very cold, very boring, very alien. Pacing in Halo has always been, to me, one of those things that I've never really enjoyed. It seems like some parts of the game it's really good, and then all of a sudden you kind of hit these lulls, and that might be, like I said, where you get in the more confined spaces. I always hated the Flood. Some people like them. I hope the only Flood, hopefully, that I'm seeing anymore is out of my wife. But I mean, she's fertile. But yeah, man, like, there's a lot riding on this game. I don't know how to sum it up entirely, but like I said, they definitely need a great story. Any great game is backed by a great story. It's a big risk. God of War took that risk, but the things, like I said, you don't change the fundamentals. And the best thing about Halo right from the get-go has always been, it's always been a pretty good leader in graphics. Like each and every game sort of set a bar and raised it a little bit. And it's always been a phenomenal game from a play controls perspective. Even when 343 took it over, it's always been a pretty fast, fluid shooter with good controls. The multiplayer has evolved over the years. Some people hate some of the additions. Some people just like it. But again, you can't be afraid to evolve. But the thing is, change is good. Just don't have it as forced change. Like,
gotcha. Great point.
Forced change is never good. Change that comes gradually, change that is optional as well. Like in a game, for example, in Halo 5, one of the biggest complaints a lot of people have is the story was a little convoluted. Of course, it went off the rails. People went over and they played as Locke and things, and you didn't get to step into Master Chief. That shouldn't have been forced. That could have been better done if it was more optional. Like, you get a spot after the cutscene to say, do you want to continue with Master Chief, or do you wish to continue with Locke's story? And then you have that option to branch out either way. That way you're still given the option for newer players who might say, yeah, I really like to check this Locke guy out. But again, your secondary characters can't be more than cannon fodder either. They can't be boring. This is a problem we were also seeing with Gears, is that's still one of the weaknesses with the Gears franchise, is their characters still don't have that weight to them. They don't have that life. You know what I mean? Like, you don't really care that much. You don't feel all that invested in them. And that's something they have to do a little bit better job with, is how you relate to a character and make them feel real. And again, consequence with Master Chief, those things, big decisions, consequences for your actions, things like that. That's how you add weight to these super larger than life characters. Again, it's got to be fast paced, it's got to be visceral, it's got to have great enemies, great graphics, bring it back to earth a little bit, or maybe even have an adventure where Master Chief, now he's off, maybe he's getting ready to settle down and retire, gets called back in action again to help maybe a dying civilization somewhere on some planet or something. You know what I mean? But yeah. just again, change. Just don't force change. Give people some options. Do things gradually, a little bit by bit. And stick with what works. Change a few things that people didn't like. They got enough feedback and algorithms and arithmetic and all this crap that they should know what people are liking, what people have generally complained about. You stay away from the crap. You go with what's good, and then you go to a panel and figure out how you move forward.
Those are really great points, dude. I love every one of them. And you know something? I wish they'd hire you, because you seem like you have it all together, and you don't work for 343. Well, let's hope that they have it together as well. But I have to shout out Anime Heaven X23. He says something very interesting. He or she. I don't want to say that it's don't want to insult, but their point is excellent. I want the story of Halo 4 and the online of Halo 5 to mix together for Halo Infinite. And I actually agree with you. I think that would be fantastic, to be honest with you. And of course, Basement Radio Arcade in the chat. Welcome, dude. Glad to see you here, Enrique. Thanks for popping in. But I wanted to grab, of course, Tempest Sun with this particular question. Does Halo Infinite need to be different to be successful as a launch title for Scarlett next year?
Different, yeah, in some ways. What I honestly feel like they could do is, they have a long history. There's 5 games and some offshoots. If you were to pull a few pieces that made all of those in particular games special, try to make like a homage to all of it and put it in this game. But one thing I think it needs more than anything is that sandbox feeling from the first game. the ability to kind of go where you want. Now, I'm not talking about climbing towers and unlocking a billion icons on your map. That's not what I mean. A sandbox is they throw you into a game world with a bunch of tools and they say, go have fun. Now, I don't want it to be completely unguided. Make it so it's very easy to get from mission A, B, C, yada, yada. But I mean, if you watch the initial trailer where it was more of like a tech demo for the engine, it's filled to the brim with wildlife. Make the wildlife attack you if you get too close. Certain species, things of that sort. Make it an adventure game, almost not an adventure game, but make it so you have to figure out how you're going to beat Cortana. Who knows who's aligned themselves with Cortana, because she's like an all-knowing, powerful, crazy, psycho chick, AI at this point. One thing that always got me about these games is they're too. It's going to sound weird. It's too clean. You shoot a wall, there's no dust. You shoot a tree, nothing happens. I mean, there might be bullet holes, but I want like land deformation. I don't know what this engine's capable of, but if it's this advanced of an engine, let me blow trees down with explosions. Let there be tons of physics. I want to bust holes in walls. And, these Spartans, if you read any of the books, time almost is in slow motion for them. Their reaction speeds are so high. They literally are super soldiers. They're like superhumans in a freaking tank of armor, So just delve into that more. Make them jump even higher. Make them run even faster. Let me body check people through a concrete wall or something. Do crazy stuff. They started doing some of that in 5. I would love a little bit more. I don't care that it's not traditional. It's going to be 2020. It's going to be on a brand new system. We really need to see some advancements. And even if they seem slightly forced, I don't really care. I just want to see some form of advancement. And that's just for the single player. Like, honestly, Halo 5's multiplayer was great. And all they really have to do, in my opinion, is just maybe even make it a little bit bigger, honestly. I mean, Warzone was huge, but make it even bigger. Yeah. I mean, just stretch the limits. I mean, flex your muscles and show that you are a pretty much $1 trillion company. And the budget for this game is, $500 million. I'm talking like 60 versus 60,
Yeah. Someone actually put in the chat earlier. I'm sorry I missed who it was. They said they'd love to see a big team battle, 25 versus V25. I'd love to see 50 v50.
Yeah. Just make it huge. Just play a little bit different, but the biggest thing I'm looking forward to is they really did in that first demo make it look like a living, breathing world. I've never seen wildlife in a Halo game, so they could do so much of that. I mean, there was a creature swimming in the ocean. Like, what the heck was that? I mean, I don't know what they're planning, but you are on a Halo ring, and we finally have the technology to explore the ring. There's going to be tons of different biomes. Maybe you can get there by flying a Pelican yourself, maybe, or getting flown there.
Awesome.
I mean, there's so many options, and if the ground is littered with stuff to shoot, it doesn't have to be a bunch of checkboxes that you fill for an open world game. The sandbox gets thrown away a lot, but if it's done correctly, you create your own fun. But as long as they have standard missions that once you go to do them, I could just, instead of a 10 to 15 hour romp, let's take this puppy, make it 30, 40 hour adventure, because there's so much stuff you can get lost in. Yeah. That's the difference I think needs to happen. It's not just, it can't go by chapters. You can put chapters in there, but make it like organically get there. I don't want to rush through a bunch of chapters and say the game's done. I want to be able to replay and go to different areas for different reasons, at my leisure. It's personally what I want, but I mean,
Well, no, it's actually a great point. I mean, listen, it's got to be different, folks. I'm sorry. I mean, again, I understand you want your Halo to be Halo, but we're moving into a new console, a new generation, a new everything that starts out with is new. So I want Halo to be new. I want Halo to remain Halo, but at the same time incorporate some big changes that's going to make it fun for everyone, not just the Halo fans. You want to attract a newer crowd, a newer, younger crowd to the long-running franchise. And to do that, you need to incorporate new things to attract those new players. And so, again, maybe some people are too young to appreciate where Halo came from. But if you have something that's innovative and something that's special, that's the same but slightly different, and does things in a way that makes somebody say, "Oh man, that looks cool. I'm going to give that a shot." That's what they should do. But real quick, I have to thank LMNOP with the additional outstanding $10 super chat. He said, $10 super chat. He says, Halo just needs to evolve in gameplay, visuals, and narrative like any other game. Bigger and better. Halo is the king of consoles, first FPS. It just needs to be its own again and start fresh with the next generation. Yeah, great point. And Sir X-Men with the additional $2 super chat. He says, Forte wants crackdown physics in Halo. I don't know what that means, but maybe it's something I missed in the chat. Listen, I want to Crackdown 4. I'll say it. I'm not embarrassed. I loved Crackdown 3, but that's a horse of another color. This has been one heck of a show. We are past the 2-hour mark, and there's been I got all the topics in the chat. We were up as almost 180 people watching live. So a big thank you guys and gals for coming out here and supporting primetime gaming, something I've always wanted to do. And I cannot thank, of course, the panel enough. Clowns had to leave. He was feeling a little bit ill, and he has been under the weather the last couple of weeks. So, of course, if you want to find Clowns, his information is in the description in the show notes, and you can always click on him. Give that guy a follow, and give his YouTube channel a like and the support. That would be greatly appreciated. But of course, I have to get my panel out of here, and I'll start with Wilmy Hood. First of all, Wilmy, I want to thank you for the outstanding generosity. That $50 super chat is ridiculous. Of course, I appreciate it very much. But you have a podcast that I happen to be on this Wednesday that I'm very stoked to be on your show for the first time. Please tell everyone where they can follow you on Twitter, but more importantly, check out your work on YouTube.
Yes, you will be on Wednesday night, and we are going to be giving away an Oculus Rift S and possibly an Oculus Quest.
Holy shit. Well, look at that.
So, well, with all the talk about VR the last few weeks, but you can find me anywhere. Just type in Wilmy Hood. YouTube, Twitter, Xbox, PlayStation, Switch, everywhere. It's just Wilmy Hood. But I would like to make one last side note.
Sure, absolutely.
Since I don't feel well and I've been sitting here playing Zelda, the one thing, Boom, that most gaming has lost?
What's that?
I can sit. How old is Zelda now? 25, 30 years?
30 years old at least.
I can pick up Zelda and I can remember where every little tree and every little rock is that needs to be burned or moved. How many games can we do that with now?
Not many, dude. That's a great point. And actually, that would actually be great for a future topic. You should even consider writing an original one, because there are very far and few in between titles that will bring back that kind of nostalgia, but more importantly, bring back your memories of exactly what you have to do. It's very, 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 very rare does that happen.
Very rare, especially in today's gaming. And that's sad with so many different options out here now. I can't think of many games that I can still pick up 30 years later and remember every little detail. So,
well, I mean, that's actually a great point. And listen, dude, it's been great to have you on. I want to thank you for being here, even though you don't feel well. That's really awesome of you to still hang out.
Mr. Mucinex is afforded me a couple of hours, but my head feels like it's about to explode now.
Well, listen, go take it easy. Don't have your head explode, because I'm looking forward to Wednesday's show.
But yep, Wednesday night, 8:00. Look for Wilmy Hood on YouTube, and we will have Mr. Boomstick on the panel. So it will definitely be an interesting show. And like I said, giving away 2 Oculus.
Well,
so you definitely want to be in the chat.
Yeah, absolutely, dude. I'm gonna probably jump out of the podcast and go into the chat. Well, listen, thanks again for being here, dude. Really appreciate it. And of course, your generosity is second to none. And Nukem, my brother from Canada. First of all, dude, it is a pleasure, but more so an honor to work with you each and every time you've been on any of my shows. You bring a lot of fun and antics to each show that you're on, and I enjoy working with you. I think that you're a really, really good dude, and I love that you're raw and you're honest and you tell it like it is. And sometimes you assault people and you say, I don't give an F, right? But at the same time, you are one of the finest community members out there. Please tell everyone where they can follow you on Twitter, but more importantly, check out your YouTube channel.
Yeah, boom, boom, go boom. It's Noof leaving the room for another night. Thanks again for having me on Primetime Gaming. This has been an absolute blast. This is my first time being on this particular podcast, Boom. So again, thank you for having me. Thanks to the panel for having a great show, great topics, very fluid tonight. And the chat's been awesome as usual. So I've had an absolute lot of fun here, man. Yeah, you guys know where to find me. Noof Nukem on Twitter. Of course, Noof Nukem on Xbox, Noof Nukem 76 on PlayStation. And I do want to announce something. If you haven't heard this or haven't seen this on Twitter, I do want to say that Gaming After Dark is coming back. And it's coming back soon. Me and Primal, we're going to fire that sucker back up. It's going to be Monday nights right after this show, so you can roll into one and go into another. Boom will fire you up, get you ready to roll, and me and Primal will take you to bed and shut things down. That's how it's going to be. But yeah,
That sounds like a good time to me.
Absolutely, man. So we're going to bring back details coming soon. Just keep watching Twitter and stuff. Like I said, now that you've introduced me to StreamYard, and I know that's pretty easy to fire back into YouTube. So we're going to go back over to the YouTube stuff instead of the Mixer, just because the audience is bigger and it's less hassle of trying to talk gaming without trying to friggin' play games at the same time. So looking forward to it, man. I'll keep everybody in the loop. It's been a blast. We'll see you guys soon. Cheers, everybody.
Yeah, well, I'm glad to hear that. I'm glad that you're going to use StreamYard. It's actually a paid service that I'm paying for, and I think that everyone could attest to the fact that the shows have been running pretty much flawless. Very excellent sound quality. They do have a free version, so I'd say before you sign up to anything new, give that free service a shot. I did about 6 shows before I decided to pay, but it is fantastic. As you can see, I got borders, I have titles, I have banners that are popping in and out. But yeah, I definitely, it's great to have that show coming back. You guys did that was a great show. It was a shame that Google Hangouts left and you had to kind of shut it down. But I'm glad to hear that it's coming back. So good for the community, dude. And Gaming Forte, first of all, thanks for being here. If people don't know, he does work for GameStop, and he flew out of work to make sure that he could be here for the last hour. So thank you so much for being here, dude. Please tell everyone where they can check you out on Twitter with your awesome messages each and every day that you put out there. But more importantly, check you out on your own YouTube channel and also the Basement Radio Arcade podcast, as well as the lovely Luca's Scumcast.
Yeah, man, you named them all, man. So Scumcast every Saturday night. We actually have a legit time now.
Yes, awesome.
Which is 6 p.m. Central Standard Time. So you can actually set your clock to that. We got the Basement Radio podcast. That's every Wednesday at 9 p.m. with my boy Slow-Mo, Enrique, E, and B Money. Always a fun time. And then we also have, we got my YouTube channel, Gaming Forte everywhere on YouTube, Twitter, and you always can catch me right here. So make sure you hit that like button, and matter of fact, hit that notification bell so you can know every time Boom does something on this channel if you don't already have it, man. That's like a gift that keeps giving right there.
Well, thank you for the kind words, dude. Listen, I'm glad that you're a part of this show. Look forward to working with you each and every week. And last, and in no way least, of course, Tempest's son, who, by the way, hurt his back, and another one who's injured and still here for your amusement. Thanks for being here, dude. Really appreciate it. I'm glad that your back is definitely getting better, so you can get back to playing games and, of course, getting ready for the holiday. Please tell everyone where they can follow you on Twitter, but more importantly, team up with you to get that big W in Apex Legends.
You can find me at the Tempest Sun on Twitter, and it's just Tempest Sun for my gamer tag. About to do some Battlefield 5 actually tonight. Get my game on there. So it's show went on long, so I'm just gonna get everybody out of here. Thanks for being here. I had tons of fun, and go have fun gaming.
Yeah, well, listen, it's great to work with you each and every week, dude. Love having you a part of this panel. And of course, I just want to wish everyone a fantastic night. I don't know if it's snowing or wet by you. It is here in the East Coast. If you're going to be out driving, make sure you're careful. And of course, we'll be back on Thursday afternoon at noon for the newest episode of the Xbox Factor podcast, followed by Friday morning's Breakfast with Boom. I want to thank everyone again for being here. I want to, of course, say thank you for the outstanding generosity that this community continues to show these shows. It's greatly appreciated. Again, we'll see you next week on the newest episode of Primetime Gaming with Mr. Boomstick and friends. Have a great evening, everyone. Take care.
No.
No.